Hello everyone and welcome back to our European Journeyman series with Monaco. Now last time out I was a little bit depressed at the end of our season. We managed to completely choke and blow the league title to PSG after looking like we were definitely going to usurp them. We completely threw it away in our last couple of games and we also failed to win any trophies, and after the success we had at Benfica I was not expecting that to happen at Monaco. But at the moment, I'm still not sure if I want to stay for another season. It will depend on what jobs become available. I've not made any decisions just yet. What we're going to do today is just take a look at how this season went, who our best players were, where we need to strengthen, and then we'll also take a look at where Valencia and Benfica are, how those clubs have done since I left, and then we will make a choice about what we want to do next. So this season, if we have a look at the competition screen, you will see we didn't win anything. The only trophy was the Trophée de Champion, which was won at the match before I arrived. And then we obviously had that defeat to PSG, which we struggled. It had a huge impact on the season, really, at the end of the season. The two games with PSG decided the title. Our failure to beat them was the reason they won it, and then maybe that means they did deserve it overall. But obviously we failed to win Liga despite finishing 22 points clear of third place. It's definitely a two-horse race title. In the Champions League, we were knocked out by Manchester United. And in the Coupe de France, we were knocked out in the semi-finals by Marseille. The Coupe de Ligue, we were runner-up, getting beaten by PSG. Another hammer blow to our morale, really. The club struggling a little bit. The morale isn't too bad for an end of season, to be fair. A lot of the players off on international duty or on holiday now. But if we sort it by our average ratings, we can see the standout player by far was Thomas Lemar. He is absolutely phenomenal. Easily one of the best players in the world. His ratings are going down a little bit, but I think that's just a temporary thing. He's only 25 years old as well, so he's got plenty of time to develop if we can keep him at the club. I got him to sign a new contract this season, so he'll be with us till 2025. Hopefully that'll keep people away this season. But he had an absolutely fantastic season. Next up, Fabinho, another brilliant player. He's 27 years old, but he's been absolutely incredible for us. He's so versatile as well, can play perfectly in 3 different positions. He had an absolutely brilliant time. He also picked up 16 assists and 8 goals this season, which is not bad at all for a defensive midfielder / right back. If we should have a quick look at Thomas Lemar's stats, you'll see that he got 35 goals this season and 16 assists. A very, very good contribution, carrying the team at times, getting results when we needed them. Glick didn't really play, but he did have a very high rating, but that's because he was playing earlier in the season when we were on that fantastic winning run. Djibril Sidibe also in that position where he's usually coming on and getting a decent rating. Pereira was one of the best signings I've made. You can see he will easily become one of the best players in the world over time. But he did very well for us this season, nearly ever present, and for £27.5 million, an absolute steal. Now, Mehdi Benatia is leaving the club. He is going to move to Bournemouth, but he barely played this season. João Moutinho is now 34 years old. I'm not sure that he will be around next season either. Bakayoko did reasonably well for us. A decent player, but not quite as good as I thought he might be overall. And it's one of the reasons we need to strengthen our midfield, is that it's not that great. Now, Castellano is a very good player. He's come on a long way. He's only 23 years old, and he will develop further. Zeka, another player we brought in who's absolutely fantastic, now 27 years old, but he's a brilliant left back. I've got no issues with him at all. Vallejo, another big signing that we made, £47 million. He had a good season, still a very, very good player. He's playing with Pereira and will be a long-term partnership at the back for Monaco. Malcolm is on the transfer list at the moment. He's not been that great for me. He is a very good player, and maybe I should think about keeping him, but we'll make a decision on who we want to keep and not later in the summer. Now, Mbappe, I know a lot of people really like him, but he has not been that great for me at all on the left wing. He's been pretty anonymous. If we have a look at his record, just 7 goals and 11 assists across 34 games. Maybe he should have had a bit more game time, but I just wasn't impressed with him at all. Maybe next season he'll be able to do a bit more of a job. He is training as a striker now, so he should be able to play in that position. Baptiste was a bit streaky. He had that fantastic start to the season, then a really long injury layoff, and it meant that he dropped down quite a bit. And we do need to bring in another world-class striker in the summer if we have the money to do so. Nezovic was a brilliant goalkeeper, ever present in the sticks, and he will develop more and more over time. He's very good at the moment and will continue to get better. We've also got Nikitovic, who played a bit more than I maybe would have liked. He's a decent player for the future, but I don't want him as a first-team player just at the moment. Another reason why we need a good central midfielder to come in. Yemerson, bit of a liability at the back. He's going to be leaving the club. I've got no doubt about that. Pizzi was all right. He didn't play very much, and I don't think he'll be around next season either. Bernardo Silva, a pretty quality player, but he is starting to decline. He's only 26 years old. He had a lung injury layoff, which really hurt him. So I'm hoping next season he'll be able to get a bit more involved. Boris was okay. I think he still needs to develop a lot more. He's got a lot of stats that need to improve an awful lot if he's going to become a world-class striker. But he didn't do too badly, especially when we had the injury to Baptiste. He still got 16 goals and 6 assists, which isn't awful. But maybe he and Mbappe can be back up to a world-class striker if we can bring one in. Coutron will also continue to be a fringe player. He's not really come on as much as I would have expected. I'm not sure he will come on very much either. Bon Giovanni didn't really play, will probably get sold this summer. He's another player with decent potential, but I just haven't been impressed with him while I've been at the club. And then we've got a few fringe players who might come into the team a bit next season. But overall, the squad's still very strong. It just needs maybe another one or two central midfielders. Certainly one, but possibly two good central midfielders need to come into the club. And they also need a world-class striker. There is no doubt about that. A top-quality striker who could get us 40 goals a season is the ideal sort of situation, because with Thomas Lemar chipping in 30 goals from midfield, if you had a 40-goal striker up top, you would be absolutely unstoppable. And if we can get a better midfield engine in there, I'm looking at players like Lewis Cook to come in, or maybe a couple of the other Benfica players, because they had fantastic midfielders, so hopefully we can bring them in. But that is kind of it for the Monaco view. If we take a look at Benfica, now Benfica have had quite a story since I left. They have managed to win the league, as you would expect. If we take a look at their competitions for the senior squad, though, you will see they won the Champions League. The season after we left, they won the Champions League. Now, they also won the league miles ahead of a really poor Sporting. The Taça de Portugal Placar was won by CD Nacional. They were knocked out by Porto there, and they finished runner-up to Paços de Ferreira in the Taça da Liga as well. But they did manage to win the Super Taça earlier in the year. Semi-final of the Friendly Cup is just a friendly coming up, I suppose. But the Champions League, they won the Champions League and the league the season after I left, and maybe we did leave a season too early. I'm not sure. It's an incredibly strong team. There's no doubt about that. And it was an incredibly young team as well. I can't believe they've gone and won the Champions League, putting an end to that curse that they had on them, never winning a European trophy. They've gone and done it in the Champions League. And it's all down to the work that we did. Their transfers this season have been nothing special. If we have a quick look at their transfer history, you'll see they spent £42 million, but not really on anybody too special. Rashica and Allen, the two big players coming in, they let £98 million of players leave. If we have a look, Jesus Vallejo to us, the big one, but Gedson Fernandez went to Dortmund, Raul Jimenez went to Roma, Penaranda, one of the others, to leave, Samaris going to Marseille for 3.5. But they let quite a few players go, especially big players like Fernandez and Vallejo. Raul Jimenez going was probably expected. But I can't believe they actually went and won the Champions League afterwards. That's two of my clubs that have now won the Champions League since this series started. Obviously, we won it with Valencia, but Benfica have gone and won it the very next season. If we have a look at Valencia and see how they are getting on, they are doing all right. They've still got Jurgen Klopp in charge, which is nice. If we have a look at their senior competitions, they were knocked out in the quarterfinals by Juventus, so they made the Champions League quarterfinals as well. Both of our former teams making it a step further than we did with Monaco. They were knocked out of the Copa del Rey by a lower league club, it looks like. That went on to be won by Real Madrid, but they've managed to finish fourth again. That is pretty much where they always are. They're always finishing just behind the big three, which is the reason that I didn't really stay at the club, because you're not going to get 100 points with Valencia without a big financial investment, and they don't have that to offer. But that league is absolutely insane. The points totals consistently coming out of this league are absolutely uncatchable. So that's kind of it for the other teams. That's where they are. We need to make a decision on whether we want to stay at Monaco. It will depend on what jobs come up. If I see an interesting job come up, I will apply for it. But otherwise, I think having slept on it, I'm happy to stay at Monaco for another year if that is what needs to happen. But that is going to be it for this episode. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see what we get up to next year. But until next time, see ya.